Okay, in this video guide, we're looking at project number 14, and you'll notice a little difference is I've already got all of that down here in the spreadsheet for you instead of having you copy and paste it. So you'll just go ahead and click right there, open it up, and you'll be here. So we're going to be going through this, and we'll be keying in some numbers, and we're going to be doing something to make it a little bit easier to key in some of these numbers. So let's go ahead and take a look at the book. So it starts with explaining what we're doing on page number 62. It sets the scenario. The student is in a workforce experience program at your school. You've been shadowing the manager of a local movie theater. One of the manager's responsibilities is to calculate the payroll every Friday. The manager has asked you to create a spreadsheet with tax deductions to calculate the wages earned by each employee. So we're just going to throw out a couple of words here, some new words: gross pay and net pay. Okay. Gross pay is simply all of the money. So the number of hours you worked times the amount you're paid per hour is your gross pay. Then money starts coming out for various taxes. And when that's all done, the actual amount of money you take home is your net pay. Okay, so there's our difference. The gross pay is simply all of the money. Okay, all of the money you earn during that period is your gross pay. And then after all the money's been taken out, the net pay is what you're actually getting. Okay, so just so we're clear on what those words mean. Okay, so the first thing it tells us to do is to key in the data as shown. Okay, and they also do say left aligned. So because we saw that these here are not left aligned, we're going to do this really easy. We're just going to come up here and you see the cell above the 1 and to the left of the A. I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose left aligned. Okay, everything is now left aligned. Okay, so we've done that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something for the hourly rate here. So we did this in our last spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and do that again. I want you to click on the tab. Okay. And now we're in sheet number 2. I'm not as worried about naming these sheets. I'll tell you that. I just want you to make sure you're on sheet number 2. And what we see when we look at the information here on page number 64 is the actual scale that people are paid by. So we basically see people being paid by 50-cent increments up to $12. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put in $8. So I'm going to go ahead and click directly on the A, and I'm going to make that currency, okay? And I'm going to put in 8, enter, 8.5, enter. I'm done, okay? Now I'm going to select these two cells just like that. Again, the way I did that was I went to the center cell alpha 1, pressed and held the left mouse button down and pulled down. Now I'm simply going to come down a little ways until I'm at, not one more, so to alpha 9. And so now I've got 850 to $12 right there. Remember in the last class I told you that it will increment by whatever increment you've created. We created an increment here of basically 1 point, or point, not 1.5, simply 0.5 between cell alpha 1 and alpha 2. So it's continued to put these in incremented by 1.5. And you know what? I see a 1075. I see a 975. So we're actually going to have to make a change here. I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to call it 8.25. Okay. Enter. Now I'm going to go ahead and select these two right here and down to about there. A couple more. Good. Okay. I still think this will make it easier for us as we put in the numbers. I think it'll make it easier for me because, like I've said, I'm a terrible typist, and I don't hide that fact. Okay, so now we're simply going to copy the information from page number 64. Okay, so at this point, I've got these numbers here put in, and you can see that I've got all the numbers typed in. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to use data validation again. We used it in another place, and we're going to create, again, another drop list. And so I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to click directly on the letter E. I'm going to select data validation. Okay, list from a range, show drop-down list, that's good. enter a range or formula. I'm going to move it over the little checkerboard right here. And you see when I move over that, it says select data range. I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to be very careful to only click on sheet 2 right here. Now I'm going to come up here to alpha 1, press and hold, and simply drag down all the way through to alpha 17. Okay. And save. Now let's go back to our sheet. Now we have those drops. Now I will tell you that it looks sort of goofy to have them here. So let's go ahead and get rid of those. So now I'm going to select from Echo 1 down to Echo 9 like I just did right there. Okay. Data validation. Now I'm going to click on remove validation. And you notice the drop list is no longer in these. It just looks better that way. You don't have like the little red check errors, and it just looks better. Okay, so what do we got here? We have 850. Remember, it's not going to put in all the decimals for us. We'll just have to fix that later. 1050. Next one is 9. Okay, so I think you get the picture. Now, if you say, well, wow, that's way too much work, I'd rather just key them in. That's fine too, okay? This one here, I'm not going to mark you off. If you don't use data validation, just make sure you get the numbers right. And when you're done putting in your numbers, or when you start at any time, it really doesn't matter when you do it. Just come up here, click on the E, and click on the $sign, okay? And now money is always aligned to the right. Okay, so you'll always align money on the right. I know they had us left align everything here. I honestly don't know why they did, because frankly, it's wrong. And we're going to have to go through and fix all that. Money is always aligned to the right. So go through and finish putting in these here. Okay. Okay, at this point, you can see that I've got all of these numbers here put in. So the next thing we're going to do, and that was on page 64, is we're going to now scroll back up to page number 63, and we're going to start putting in the formulas. Okay, so gross pay, as I said, is hourly rate times hours worked. You know, we're going to fix this now, because I know they said to left align everything, and frankly, that's wrong. Click on the right there on that there. We're going to come over here. Got to close this out of the way. Hold the shift key down, click on the K. So we've selected rows delta through kilo. Okay. Now I'm just going to come up here, and I'm going to go over here, and we're going to right align that. Okay. Very simply, I don't know why they did that, because frankly, it's wrong. Who knows? Maybe later on they'll tell us to do it, but yeah. Okay, next. So gross pay is equal to hours worked, and you could have typed in D10, times the hourly rate. Enter. Okay, on this one, if you want to, you can go ahead and suggest and select and accept the autofills as we work, okay? Because it is going to actually simply fill down. So I'm going to click on Enter to allow autofill. And there we go. You can see that it's been applied to the entire table. And if I were to click here, you see that it's those two there. Now remember, when you do that, go ahead and click somewhere else to get out of that mode. Okay, federal income tax. Now, here's the next place where, frankly, they make a mistake. We're probably going to, no, we're not going to do it their way. Okay? We're not. Want you to come over here right under the word federal income tax, okay? I want you to type in 10%. Tab over. Social Security, 6.2%. We're just not going to do it wrong. I mean, it's just, no, we're not doing it this way. And let's see here. Medicare, 1.45%. As in when I say we're not doing this way, we're not doing it the way it shows in the book. Very simply, they're doing it wrong, and it annoys me. Let's see here. State tax, and they've got 4.63%. So 4.63%. Okay. Now, to remind ourselves that these are places that we can that are different than the other places on this spreadsheet. We're going to go ahead and select those, and we're going to go ahead and make that a yellow background, okay? That way we know that these are numbers we can go back to. Good. Next, now we're going to go ahead and do it. So the federal income tax equals F10 times, interestingly enough, as you can see, it probably for you has automatically put this in, tab F10 times G9. And that looks right to me. Only problem here is when we increment, it's not going to work, okay? It isn't. The reason, and I want to show you why. So tab, I'm going to go ahead and show you why it doesn't work just here. Okay, that's way off. Let me tell you why that's way off. Because it looked at this here, F10 times G9, right? And what it did here is it then on this one, F11 times G10. See, it incremented them both. And this goes back to, escape, click over here. I'm going to get rid of this cell because that's obviously completely wrong. This goes back to what we did in the previous class. So what I want you to do here is equals F10 times G $9, then hit enter. Now you look at the autofill and that is correct. So we're going to be using that $sign frequently. Now, the reason that I only put the $sign before the 9, you can click on any of these and you'll see it, is because we're actually only autofilling in this direction down. Now, there is a way we could do this to autofill over too. But frankly, I'm not going to add that complication to it. Yeah, it does make it a little bit faster and easier. It's the way I would normally do it, but we are going to try and do it their way. Okay, so now we're at Social Security tax equals. Now here you can see that it gets it completely wrong. And this is why you can't always trust this auto mode, because it put in G10 and that's wrong. We're still over here in F10. So equals F10 times, move that out of the way, there, H $9. We want it to always point at row 9. We're in column H. That's not going to change. And we're always pointed at row 9. Enter. And it's asking, do we want to autofill? Yes, we do. We're going to be doing that same thing to each of these. So here, it's going to be equals. Now I'm just going to show you another step that I normally do. Instead of typing in that number there, the gross pay, I'd simply click there. Times, times, I didn't hold the shift key down, times I $9. I $9. Enter. We're going to do that once more. Okay, so equals. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on gross pay again. Times J $9. Enter. Okay, so now we filled all those in. Now the reason we did it this way, because you shouldn't in the calculations here have hard-coded numbers. I talked about that the last time. Because what if it changes? What if you got this wrong? Well, on a small spreadsheet like this, it's easy to fix. But on a large spreadsheet, it might be hard to find everywhere that you put in the Medicare tax rate. Because what if it were actually 1.35? Everything ripples through. Okay? Bad, isn't it? They have 1.45? Yeah. So by doing it this way, you don't have to change everything to make corrections. It's simply a more correct way of doing this, okay? And that's why I want you doing it this way. So now we're going to come over here to K10, and we're going to go equals, good, F10 minus. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this. We're just going to do the book way, and I'm just going to tell you that there is a different way that's actually easier, but we want to do it their way. So, G10 minus, and you see what I'm doing, just clicking on these, H10 minus I10 minus J10, close parenthesis. That's a shifted 0. Remember this parenthesis there is a shifted 9, and that one's a shifted 0. Enter. Do we want to autofill? Yes. Okay, let's take a look now and see what else they want us to do. Format columns F through K as numbers displaying 2 decimal point places. Well, remember I had you do that over here, and so it carried over to here. So we already did that. Format rows 1 through 8 as bold. Okay, so I'm going to come up here. There it is. I'm going to click directly on the 1. I'm going to hold the Shift key down. I'm going to click directly on the 8, and we're just going to format those as bold. Great. Format 1 through 8. And that was it. Okay. Now, so you did a lot of calculations really fast and easy. And again, I want to show you how I look at those calculations. Hold the control key down, and the key directly above the tab has a squiggle called a tilde, and that's the key I'm going to press. And from here, we can see all of these calculations. I will tell you, some of your teachers will demand that you turn this in along with this because they want to see that you did calculations. Okay, the only thing we want to do next is I do want to adjust the column size. So go ahead and click directly on the A, come over here, hold the Shift key down, click directly on the K, right click, resize columns A through K, fit to data, OK. And that just makes it F. Now this one looks wrong, this first one, and it is. So we're just going to come here between the A and the B, press and hold the left mouse button down, and come to about there. Okay, it looks like somehow some of this all got chopped off, and I'm not sure exactly how that happened. We're going to try that again. Click directly on the B, hold the Shift key down, click directly on the K, resize columns, fit to data. I could have sworn I clicked on fit to data. Obviously, I must have missed and actually hit the wrong button. Okay, there we go. Now, I just want to show you one other thing that can be done on these. And so, like I say, when you're doing a real spreadsheet, it actually looks better to do this way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select down to here, okay? And now I'm going to come up, just want to show you a couple more things. You don't have to do this. This does not count for points. Format, alternating colors, and I don't want a header, and I'm just going to go with green. That's good enough. And scroll down here and click on done. Okay. So what that did, as you can see, was applied these green bars. Makes it easier for the eye to move across the page and see what's going on. We'll actually be doing that in a later lesson, but I just wanted you to see how that's done. Okay, we're basically done. You can go ahead and turn this in.